What's up, guys? Welcome back to Swapcast, the podcast where you get to hear everything and anything under the sun. I happened to start reading this amazing book by Ashwin Sanghi. Book's name is Vault of Vishnu. Today, let me narrate a small snippet from the book, and at the end of this podcast, I will cut the long story short and give you a summary of what the book is all about. The Vault of Vishnu, Chapter 1. The Indians saw them and were paralyzed with fear. The weather that day had been unforgiving. Icy winds howled in chorus with bursts of thunder and rain. The men of 17th Mountain Division braced themselves for the worst as sleet hit their faces like a bullet. At a height of 14,000 feet, the plateau of Doklam lay on the border between Himalayan kingdom of Bhutan and its superpower neighbor, China. The loftiest point of the plateau lay on its western shoulder between Bantang La and Mount Hipmochi. From there, the plateau sloped down towards the southeast, eventually meeting the Amochu River. The entire expanse of 34 plus square miles between the highest and the lowest points was boulder striven, hence the name Doklam, Rocky Path. The Chinese called it by a different name, Donglang. In fact, they claimed it as their own. But their efforts to build a road through the plateau had triggered a flashpoint with India, Bhutan's long-standing friend and ally. India knew that a road through Doklam would give China the ability to enter Indian territory with little effort. Halting the Chinese initiative was not an option, it was an imperative. The first encounter with the Chinese had been largely peaceful. After weeks of posturing and negotiations, both sides had agreed to withdraw their men and machines beyond the buffer zone. But this latest Chinese move was altogether different. There was no pretense of innocence. The dragon was on the move. The men from the Indian contingent, supported by the Royal Bhutan Army Corps, cautiously calculated their own strength. There weren't too many of them to defend Doklam. The number of soldiers was limited because of the time it took to acclimatize. Any soldier coming to the plateau needed at least 5 days to adjust to the altitude. It was impossible to rush in reinforcements at a short notice. The commander of the Indian side looked through his binoculars with bated breath. All he could see was desolate, rock-covered land. He wondered why they were fighting at all. There seemed so little to be gained by acquiring vast expanse of a barren stone. He could not discern any movement through his binoculars. But they were there. Every soldierly instinct told him they were there. And then he saw them and found himself utterly and helplessly afraid. A hero is no braver than an ordinary man, but he is brave 5 minutes longer, he reminded himself, not for the first time in his life. Wave after wave of soldiers streamed into Doklam from the Chinese side. Even steep cliffs and deep ravines could not stop them. They leaped over this effortlessly. Not of the average Chinese build, these soldiers were extraordinarily tall and muscular. Their muscles strained against their armor, like Greek gods on steroids. The Indians and Bhutanese trembled as the Chinese troops shouted, "Shah, Shah, Shah!" Everyone knew what it meant. Kill, kill, kill! So that was a small snippet from this wonderful book called as Vault of Vishnu, amazingly written by Ashwin Sanghi. We'll cut the long story short. The story starts with the incident at Doklam, the fight that the Indian soldiers experienced from the Chinese. A young and dynamic woman, Paramjit Khurana, aka Pam, working at DRDO, is summoned to understand and analyze the situation. Indian soldiers suspect a very mysterious or rather superhuman kind of force being used from the opposition. This book is an amazing concoction of all the emotions summed up, be it love, loss, friendship, betrayal, espionage, history, legend, myth, science, action, philosophy, and suspense. The story is so beautifully woven that one's rational brain is relieved that it was mere fiction. Until a little voice in one's head pops up and innocently asks, what if? And we have come to the end of this podcast. Hope you all like it. Let me know if you have any comments or suggestions. Till then, your host and host, Swapnilt, signing off for this episode. Stay safe, take care, and wear a mask.